Hey everybody, it's BTC Gambler here. Hope you're well, guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen. Right, today's video is all about testing. Testing. I'm going to be showing you how you can set up Alphaverse to run in simulation mode. This is a video long overdue. Right, before we start this video, before I show you, go ahead and do this, because at the moment I've got 3 servers here ready to go. Okay, we're not going to go for the whole boring process how to set up Alphaverse. I'm assuming you know how to do that, and if you don't know how to do that, there are other videos. If you follow that guide, you can set up your own version of Alphaverse. But this video, I'm going to show you how to set this up so you can run everything in simulation, because I can't emphasize enough how important testing is. Now I feel that sometimes either people mishear me or they don't quite understand me, and when that happens, I feel that's a failing in myself. It's not a failing of you. I think it's a failing in myself that I haven't properly explained it properly. So I'm going to go into great lengths today to try to explain why and how testing is so important. You know, why do I do all these things? I do all these things because I genuinely care about you guys. If any of you lost money based on ideas that I've come up with, that's going to make me feel like absolute crap. So I want to avoid that. I genuinely care. And when I say test, I mean thoroughly test. I want to show you something before we move on, and this will be the formation of a video that's going to come up in the future. One of the things that you've got when you're betting on the server seed, client seed, into the realms of randomness, which is in effect an infinite number of probabilities, an infinite number of things can happen an infinite number of times. And when you're running a system like Alphaverse, where you're getting sort of millions of bets per hour, things that seem excessive or so rare happen on a frequent basis. And this is where I need to prepare you guys. If you're going to run Alphaverse, if you've got an idea, there's no real thorough way of testing that other than doing zero betting on the casino, which would just take freaking forever, and it would never give you a true reflection. So I've written some JavaScript code that runs on NodeJS that can run like 400,000 bets a second. And I've written it for Dragon Tower now, and I'm not ready to release that video, but I can tell you now I have run 2 sets of tests on 1 trillion bets, 1 trillion bets, to find out theoretically what is the maximum loss streak. And 1 trillion bets represents around about 12 years of continuous non-stop betting at maximum speed. And I didn't just run one of those, I ran 2 of them, and they're both completed. And they both said 28 on a 50-50 hard, in Dragon Tower, 50-50 win chance, hard mode. And even that's not enough for me. So I'm running 4 more tests. And they're still running as we speak. So I've got another 4 running. Now you might think this is excessive, but these are the sort of lengths that you need to go to in order to really thoroughly test an idea. You know, here I'm testing what is the maximum loss streak that you could ever likely see. So by the time I finished this, it would have been 6 trillion bets. You know, that would have been 72 years of continuous running, non-stop betting at maximum performance. So you can pause these. I'll just click on here, and we see one here that a max loss streak of 29. So we 380 billion way through. So we've still got a long way to go on that one. I'm going to leave it running. This one 29 as well. It's both 29. So it seems 29 seems to be the max so far. The other one said 28. But I'm going to leave them running. Not relevant to today. So today I'm just telling you, and I can't emphasize enough, the importance of testing. So what I've got here, I've got 1 server, 2 clients. Okay. I'm going to boot these up, and I'm going to show you how you can set yours up to run in simulation mode. I'll be right back. That's rebooted now, guys. So I've got the 3 servers. I've got 1 server. I've got 2 clients set up here. I'm going to show you it's really easy to get this in simulation mode. So, but the caveat being, you've got to be running on the latest version of Alphaverse, which is over here. And there's been some modifications put in here, including into the client index.js. Yeah, that's got it's picking up from the client config to see whether actually you're running in test mode. And one of the big changes you're going to see is under the client configuration, you've now got these additional features, and one of the ones that we want to say that we want to enable the simulation mode to be true. And here you can set a simulated balance and the simulated recovery part as well. similar recovery pot there, and the total number of bets. So I'd said 7,200,000, and the reason I said 7,200,000 because that represents about 1 month's run in. So if you always say if you've got a strategy that can survive a month, then you're going to say it's a pretty good strategy. You should definitely get your money back on that if it can survive that. You can take that even further, but just keep it as it is at the moment. So I've got the server up and running, and I've got a putty session open, and all we need to do is go into the Alpha folder, the Alphaverse folder, and then let's maximize this. And if we look under the bin folder, so the first thing we need to do is we need to start the server. So it's we restart the server. So we should be able to look into that screen, and the server's up and running. And if that's running, we should be able to go to the web page. Okay, so I've gone onto the web page, Alpha Server Test, which is the name of the server, and yeah, I'm port 3000, and we're up and running. We've got no clients in it. Yeah, I'm going to show you what to do on the client side of things. So we've got to make sure, like I said, we've got to change the configuration in your client config. And obviously I can't show you my client config because you do need to put a real username in there, real API key, real password, real two-factor secret. But anyway, you've got to have the real credentials so that it can log in. But the main thing here is we're going to set the bus thresholds and recovery points, but the most important thing is simulation mode is set to true. Now this will be picked up by the new version of the index client, the index.js file under the client folder, which is looking for that. And if it sees that it is in test mode, it will use the funds that have been defined in the client configuration here. These funds here. I'm just going to double check these. Now I've got two clients here, so what we should need to do is, well, before we kick this off, we do actually need to run we need to run the API server. So let's come back out of here. So we've got the server running, and now we need to run the API server. So if the command of that is under the bin folder, and it's restart API server. And if we go into that screen, didn't run for some reason. Okay, yep. So it's now listening on this. Now this is actually a complete replica of the casino. Exactly what they're doing. This is an API server, and if you had the same server seed, same client seed, you're seeing them in it. This is all exactly the same as the casino. It's all provably fair. The bets that I make on here, I can check them on the casino's website, and they will be identical. This is an exact replica of how the API servers are set up at the casinos. So now we've got the server running and we've got the API server running. We can now go to a client, just make sure that we've got the session cookies, which I hope we do, and we do the same here. This one is asking for it, and then we go into Alphaverse Live and we run bin, and it's run Alphaverse. Now if all goes well, it's picked up. So it's picked up the first client. Okay, it starts by pause by default. Let's do that on the other one. Now this is running, so we're clear here. This is a simulation. So this is a piece of code that was written just purely to simulate the game. And what I try to do is try to get around as many of the games as I possibly can. So at the moment I've got Dice, I've got Limbo, I've got Dragon Tower. Yeah, I'm going to try and get a few more in here as well. Yeah, there's a few scripts now. So there is Dragon Tower Simulator version 1, which is what I created. Okay, and this runs in full simulation mode. And we have one of the community members here, Fenris6, wrote a great script here. It is called this one here. If it's got sim underneath, that's the game, but in simulation mode. So technically, I want to show you, and I'm running two tests here. One has got a smaller balance, one's got 100 balance. But okay, guys, so I've left it running for about an hour because you could see, I wanted you to see what the speed of the betting is going to be when you run in simulation. Yeah, you'll see It's much faster than if you was running on a casino. Running my own API server is significantly faster. Bear with me, I just want to try to see if I can bring one of these up. Yeah, I've run an SSH lesson to one of these. So if we look at the dice bot, see the betting here? The betting is super quick, but I just want to pause it. Bear with me. Pause it. Each one of these bets, you know, the API server is identical to the one on a casino. Basically, I've recreated a casino, so it should be 100% provably fair. So I'm going to try and see if I can get that information up. Bear with me just 1 second. Right, what I've done, I've taken the server seed, client seed. This is on the casino website. Set them, yeah. There's a client seed, there's a server seed, there's the nonce position, and nonce position should match the last one. Yeah, 1152934. So we knew we're betting in position 0, so we know there we lost there. So if I could just scroll through these, we should have a, let's move it down in position. So the next one was a win, which it was, and then so we should have 3 wins in a row. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then we had 2 losses, 1, 2, which it do. Anyway, I haven't got OPS set up, so you get the gist. All I'm trying to say to you is this is 100% provably fair. It's exactly the same as a casino. We should be able to kick the betting back off. Now, what I'm thinking I'm doing, I'm thinking about dedicating an entire server just for testing. Yeah. So on here, I think I can get 45 test machines running, but at that sort of speed. So if one of you guys have got an idea and you want it tested, you know, come out and reach to me, because I think I would dedicate this server just for testing. And as I said before, I feel I'm misunderstood, or I haven't explained myself very well. If you guys haven't understood me, then that means I've done a bad job of explaining it, and I take that as a failing of myself. I just can't emphasize enough how important testing is. My simulations are still running, you know, dealing with the unknowns. What I want to do is take away the unknowns away from, you know, there's no other way of doing this, guys. There's no other way. If you've got an idea and you have absolutely no idea if it's going to work or not, this is the perfect platform to run it in. You know, if you're getting 220,000 bets per hour or even more, if you use the NodeJS version, which is doing 400,000 bets a second, running 1 trillion bets, man, nothing can test it better than that. Now, I think that is a bit extreme, because these tests here that I'm doing on Node.js is for me to test a theory that I have in my mind. And the theory that I have in my mind, you know, there is a universal law that underpins pretty much a lot of things in the universe. And one of those is like, why is an almost perfect 50-50 ratio of male versus female? There is, in the sea of randomness, there is some form of order, and there has to be limits. And it's about trying to find those limits. And the reason why I try to say that I personally want to find those limits is because it's all about knowing your enemy. You must understand you're on a crusade here, you know, and you have to know what you're up against. And you have to know the extreme events, and you have to plan around that. So if I'm going to show you something here, now that I know that I got a 29 is possible, okay, then I can adjust my betting accordingly. And that's basically what I'm doing here. And as I say to everybody, and I say to anybody that wants to run this, know your enemy, know the limits, bet accordingly, don't get greedy. You know, greed is going to be the one that will catch you. The seed, you're at the mercy of the seed, and just adjust your bet accordingly. Now, if I want to cover what I'm doing here, the only way that I can effectively do what I'm doing is by doing something called delayed martingale. And this is where I say, for the first 3-4 bets, I'm only doing 0.003 and only start doubling down on the 5th bet, and I've coded that. So I've been playing around with the numbers here. So for example, I have a balance of 10 start temp per bot, and I have a recovery pot. So I have a recovery pot of 33,200 at the moment, but I need to increase that. So at this point here, it's going to call the recovery pot, and that's going to protect us up to 29 losses. And so this is how you know, this is how you adjust your betting accordingly. So I actually want to cover mine to 30. So I'm in the process of doing that, because if you look at my Alphaverse here, it is running, but I did hit a minus 29. Now I couldn't believe it. Now I'm going to attempt to recover that, but I'm just going to attempt to recover that by building up the funds, and then going to have a second stab at that. And then once that's finished, I'm going to adjust my betting so that the recovery pot would cover me. I need a recovery pot of 68,000. So in order to run this, I need 71,000 TRX. And then the plan is that over a period of time, once I get to a balance of 146,000, I can, instead of start doing doubling down from the fourth bet, from the fifth bet, I can start doubling down from the fourth bet. And then once I get to a balance of 299, or just shy of 300,000, I can go down to the third bet and second bet. And I've done the maths where I need to be on each level and where the target is. Ideally, I would like to get it bit so it's martingale from position 1. I'm kind of working my way through that. If I know that at each level of these I'm covered up to minus a 30 loss streak, I feel pretty comfortable I'm going to be able to do that. Now how long it's going to take is a separate question altogether, and this is why I do the maths, and this is why I do this statistical analysis, because I know what I'm up against. Now there are other ways of playing Alphaverse. Some people are having great success for it, where they're taking a much more aggressive stance, where they go in, expect to lose, but vault far more than they lose. I think you've got to get the right balance on that. To each his own at the end of the day. I always say, bet the way that you want to bet, what you're comfortable with. I'm betting the way that I'm choosing to bet, the way I'm comfortable with it. And for me, I know what my plan is. I know how to get there. It's probably going to take some time, but the end goal will be highly rewarding. I have a very clear plan in my mind, exactly how I want to run it, Alphaverse, and ultimately I don't want to be running with 319 bots. I want 1,000 bots. Whether that's practical or not, I don't know. It just seems every time I add a bot in there, it just slows the rest of them down. So I did send an email to Eddie asking him if he needs my help, because I know that I can really improve his speed. I mean, you can see the speed in my API betting compared to his API betting, and that's because, and this is on relatively low spec kit, I can cluster these. I can cluster them. I could do an awful lot with these. I could put hardware load balancers in these. I could get that up much, much, much faster. Anyway, that's a bit of a waffle. I hope you found it useful. My plan is to create a testing platform, not just for me, but for you guys. And if you've got ideas and strategies that you want to test, don't bet real money. Let's test it here first. I will try to continue to modify this code and make this open source as well, because the code right now is very, very messy. It's very messy because I needed to know something very particular, and so I've left it running there, and I can't change the code until it's been completed. I will attempt to make a new version of this code dedicated for Dragon Tower. It's going to be slightly more complex than it was for the one for Dice, because it's the betting conditions. Because it returns back the results, and it's 100% provably fair again, of every row of every bet of every level. I've got to think about how I'm going to write the game for simulation and how you wanted it, because it'd be catered for more than just, say, doing one row. You can bet whatever you want to bet. So I've got to think about the mechanics of the games. So this won't be a 5-minute task, but I will try to make this one open source as soon as I possibly can for mass testing. But if you had a very specific test that was quite simplistic that I could integrate, I could possibly run that for you. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and build out this environment as well. So we've got a really good testing platform. If you've got ideas, yeah, let's bring them along, guys. Let's test them. I'm going to end that video, and I speak to you all again very soon.